Honesty is the best policy. Something we teach our kids, something we were taught as kids, is to be honest. And today I want to talk about being honest with our kids when we talk to them about drugs and alcohol. You know, when I was a kid, the DARE program was really big, and we were taught that all drugs were created equal, that all drugs were equally as bad as one another, stay away from all of them. And that's true. We should stay away from all of them, but we need to be honest about them, right? And the reason why I say we need to be honest about it is because I feel like we lose credibility. And that's what happened to me. I explained in my last video how I very early on realized that consequences for my actions weren't as severe as they just weren't severe enough to make me behave, I guess. And when you start losing, what's the right word? When you start losing, I don't want to say fear. Yeah, I mean, I guess fear of authority or trust in authority. It's easy to get into trouble, right? I wasn't afraid of getting in trouble, so I got into more trouble. Well, the reason why I bring this up is, I was taught everything was bad. You could smoke pot one time and die. You'd be dead. Well, that doesn't seem to be the case, but you could use other drugs one time and die. So what I think happens is, and I think what happened to me is I was told that all drugs are bad, stay away from everything. But then you'd see your parents having a glass of wine and drinking on the weekends and stuff. And you're like, well, I was told that alcohol was just as bad as cocaine, but they're having a drink on the weekend. Okay, well, there's a little bit of credibility lost. And then I was told that marijuana was just as bad as heroin. Well, then you get into junior high, high school, and the older kids are already experimenting with drugs, and none of those kids have died yet from smoking pot. So you kind of lose a little more credibility, and then you smoke pot for the first time. At least I did. And then you realize you're like, this ain't so bad. What else were they lying about? Is alcohol that bad? Is cocaine that bad? Is ecstasy that bad? Mushrooms, acid. And it just snowballs. It just snowballs because I found out that it was a lie. I wasn't going to die from weed, and it wasn't all that bad. But some drugs will ruin your life. Kids experimenting with pot in high school probably won't, so they always say this is a gateway drug. Marijuana is the gateway drug. I think that's why it is the gateway drug. It's because we lose credibility because we say that it's equally as bad as other drugs, and it's just not the case. And this is not me advocating for cannabis, marijuana, whatever you want to call it. I think you should wait till you're an adult to try alcohol, to try cannabis in the states that it's legal as an adult to try. But when we say it's the gateway drug, I think it's just because we lose credibility because we say it's just as bad as cocaine. So the kids try weed and realize it's not as bad as cocaine, or realize it's not as bad as they were told. So then they try cocaine. And then that could be it. That can switch will go off in their head, went off in my head, and you're hooked. And once those more powerful drugs get their claws in, like heroin, opiates, cocaine, methamphetamines, these other more powerful drugs, once they get their claws in, it's not easy to get away. It's scary. It's scary how hard these chemicals will will sink their claws in. Alcohol too. I have a couple of friends that they never quit. They never quit drinking. And sad. It's really sad. So parents, let's have honest conversations with our kids. I'm not telling you to condone it. I'm not telling you should allow them to smoke pot. But just make sure you're honest. Weed isn't going to ruin your life. Might make you lazy. Might make you less ambitious. Definitely going to lower your testosterone. I'll tell you that, boys. Alcohol, the whole, weed, alcohol debate is like, the potheads will say, well, I don't know any potheads that beat up their wife when they smoke too much pot. And the drinkers will say, we don't sit around and play video games all day in my mom's basement eating Hot Pockets. There's ups and downs to everything, right? I know a lot of people that drink alcohol responsibly. They got their life going. They're successful. They have a drink at the end of the week. Good for them. I have friends the same way with cannabis. Life's going good. Work out in the morning. Go to work all day. Come home. Smoke a joint. Good for them. And there's guys like me. Addict brains. Gluttonous. That's one of the 7 deadly sins. One of my sins is I'm a glutton. If I'm going to do a little, I'm going to do a lot. So let's just have honest conversations with our kids. Let's not lose credibility with them, right? Another thing I want to touch on is be careful being too honest. My older son was old enough to grasp everything that was going on during my addiction. And I felt like being really honest and like overexposure might scare him, might make it to where he just didn't want to experiment with anything and try anything. But he's ended up being a teenager and going down all the same things that we did, the smoking pot or vaping, cigarettes, whatever. So there's a fine line between being way too honest with them and lying to them. And I think the lie is the gateway. It's not the actual drug. Now, this is a catch-22. You tell them that it's not so bad, that marijuana is not going to ruin their life, but cocaine will. They might take it as permission. So I'm not telling you how to parent. I'm just telling you what I've learned or how I see it now and what I'm going to do different. My wife the other night was just saying all of our kids are 10 years apart. So we have three only childs basically. We have 3 only childs basically. So what I screwed up on the first one, I try to fix on the second one. And what I screwed up on the second one, I'm going to try to fix on the third one. And overexposure and being too honest, I think I'm going to be a little more careful with my second. And my third, I think so much of this will be removed from my life that hopefully I'm a different man by that point. That's what I'm really hoping for. So hopefully by that point, I'm just a completely different man. And he doesn't have to know all this. That's what I'm hoping for. So be honest, parents. Be honest with your kids. They will respect you for it.